How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the KRV YGO Yu-Gi-Oh channel. Today we're going to be doing a updated deck profile. So the deck is a lot different since the last time we did a profile. There's a lot of changes that have been made. This is still just a testing run. None of this is kind of like my official deck that I'm comfortable with. I'm still in a testing stage, but there's been some improvements in my opinion and some things that we're doing differently. So I kind of wanted to go over them and share them with you guys. The support in the comments, by the way, has been absolutely amazing, guys. Thank you so much. I think a lot of you guys understand I'm not by any stretch of the imagination a super great Yu-Gi-Oh player. I'm still learning a lot about this game. I'm still in a hardcore learning process, but I appreciate you guys showing support either way. I've been able to learn a lot of things reading your guys' comments, so that's been a great help. But we're gonna go ahead and jump right on into this. So to start off, we're playing 3 copies of Neptibus. This is kind of standard. You shouldn't be playing anything. This is like the best card in the deck. Need to be playing 3 of this. 3 Dragoons, another card you have to be playing 3 of. Shrine, I know some people cut this card to 2. I think that's crazy. This card is super good. It's another starter. It's another card that really helps you extend. Gotta play 3. Shadow Squad is probably the second best card in the deck, which is hilarious considering Dragoons is also in this deck. And this card has notoriously been the second best card in this deck, but I think this card might have taken its spot. Play 3 copies of the Pike because we are playing the Deep Sea King. So you want to have your 3 targets as well as this other fish right here. So we have 4 targets for fish for this guy now. Play 3 copies of Vibistius. This card is absolutely amazing as well. Before, obviously you used to only really be able to search this guy and a couple other Mermail targets. But now that we have this and this, it really helps kind of get the cards that you need. Play 2 copies of Heavy Infantry just because this card always comes in clutch for me. I felt like playing 1. I always felt like I wish I had a second one. This is a card that I'm considering cutting right here, Deep Sea Diva. It's so hard for me to cut because I feel like it's been such a standard in this deck for such a long time. But this card does take up your normal summon. A lot of times it's just going to get eaten away by an Ash. Everybody knows that. I think I've said it 4,000 times in this video, but this card auto-generates Ash in your opponent's hand every single time. I'm not at the point where I'm going to cut it yet, but I'm getting close. The one thing that's nice about it is nice to bait out interruptions when you're playing against people. So sometimes you can normal summon that with follow-up in your hand, and they'll waste resources on dealing with this when you have follow-up for it. Play 2 copies of the Rand because I personally play a very heavy synchro version in this kind of test setup that I'm doing. And the synchro cards that you can get off this guy are really, 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 really good. Play a copy of the Abyss Gun. This is another card that I go back and forth between cutting and keeping. Right now it's staying just because every time I cut it, I find myself wishing it was in the deck. I play 1 copy of this because I'm a total copycat and I'm copying the top 8 deck that had this in it. And the truth is that this card really does allow you to kind of have a whole new branch or a new avenue of plays that you can go into when your original combo doesn't really work out. This card really kind of helps you go down a different path, in my opinion, which I think is really good. And it helps you play on your opponent's turn, which this deck does a really good job of doing. I play 1 copy of the Deep Sea Minstrel. I used to play 3. I play 1 now just because it is searchable off the Dragoons. And a lot of times you kind of get all of your targets and you use your your once per turn effect so much that a lot of times you kind of have like a free Sea Serpent search. So sometimes it's nice to just go into this. Play 1 copy of Megalo just because you want to have Megalo in there as a discard outlet. That's a card that can discard. It can search you the spell. And it's just a really, really good card to have. Play a copy of this broken guy right here, Super Ancient Deep Sea King Coelacanth. This card is absolutely amazing. The amount of extending you can do with this card and the plays that you're able to manufacture just because of this 1 card alone are insane. We play a copy of this Moulin Glacia. This is a card that I hear a lot of people talking about banning. They're talking about getting this guy banned from the game. Please save my boy Moulin Glacia. He never did anything to anybody except for rip cards out of hands. We play 3 copies of Ash, just kind of your standard hand trap. If I had, Impulse, I would obviously play Impulse, but I don't have them. The same with the Charmies. I'm not paying $1,000 for Yu-Gi-Oh cards, unfortunately. Play 3 copies of Imperm because it's a really, really great card. Obviously, it's another hand trap. 1 for 1 because it's just a, you get 1 for 1 and you can resolve it. You're pretty much going to be set for the game. Play 1 copy of the Abyss Sting Triana. I go back and forth between the Mizuchi, and somebody else playing at locals actually made a good point that when you bring out the Link Neptibus, that you can, activate a water effect on your opponent's turn, like the Infantry Shrine play, and then equip that Mizuchi straight from your deck to that card and get like another negate on your opponent's turn, which I never thought about. My brain isn't advanced enough for that. But that's another good thing I consider, but it's such a brick, and it's good for that one situation, and outside of that, it's kind of just a rough card to play every once in a while. Play Small World just because it's another starter for the deck. And then I play the one Called by the Grave. So for the extra deck, we play the Coral Anemone. This card is amazing. We play the one Mermail Bislacia. This card is also really good for helping play on your opponent's turn and in combo with like the infantries, and I side the marksmans. And then its graveyard effect is also really good. 1 copy of the Mermail King Neptibus. This card is obviously really good. It helps you, prevent targeting on your important monsters. We play 2 copies of Totally Awesome. Totally Awesome is absolutely insane. The fact that this deck can make it so easily with the the Super Deep Sea King is insane. It's really, really easy to make. Play 2 copies of the Bahamut Shark. This is obviously for making Toad. Play 1 copy of the Abyss Dweller. I don't play the Armored Shark Xyz combo, which I know a lot of people have suggested that I play, and I haven't totally ruled it out. I think it's still a really, really good avenue of playing this deck, but it's just, I feel like for that one play, it's kind of like set up a Moulin, and yeah, you can set up your Toad really easily by getting the second Bahamut Shark with the Armored Shark, but Super Ancient Deep Sea King, he's really going to help you at that as well. So I'll probably go back and forth between adding the Armored Shark and playing the Armored Shark and not playing the Armored Shark, but for right now, he's just not in here. Play 1 copy of the Mermail Abyss Gaios. This card by himself is so good. I feel like I win a lot of games just with his effect on its own, but the fact that he allows you to also go into the Poseidra is also really, really good. Poseidra is obviously broken, helps you play better going second, as well as set up and continue your plays going first. One thing you probably noticed, I don't play the Virtue Dragon or the Virtue Stream Trap. That was another really hard cut because those cards are really, really good. But it's just, I feel like the Synchro tandem, just in my opinion, is just a little bit better as far as actually putting together like playable boards. And it also just gives you different avenues depending on your hand. So the White Aura Porpoise is really good as well for helping you establish your Bahamut Shark plays. Play 1 at Emancipator. The Dragite, this card is really good. It's a spell, trap, negate. Really easy to set up with the Porpoise. We play the Goatee of the Deep Beyond. This card is really also really, really good because you can banish the Schiff and then special summon this card on your opponent's turn, just nuke the whole field, which is absolutely insane. We play the 1 Gamir for the Agarine, as well as the 1 Chen Ying as well for the Agarine. So my reason why I went through this really quickly is because I was planning on putting a couple test hands out on this video. But this is the updated deck. This is what we're rocking with so far. I think it's really, really good. We're still testing with it, still making tweaks. Haven't gotten to 100% where I'm like, okay, this is the exact deck that I want to play. But so far, the only thing I will say is there's a lot of one-ofs. I know there's a lot of one-ofs in this deck, and it's not usually a great thing to be playing a lot of one-ofs. But this card is searchable off this. 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 This card is searchable off of this. And this card is searchable off this. So every single one of these one-ofs is searchable, which kind of helps it make it a little bit easier to play so many one-ofs because they are so searchable. And also, these are cards you don't necessarily want to see in your hand. Like, you definitely don't want to see this in your hand. You definitely don't want to see this in your hand. You really don't want to see this in your hand. This one you might want to see it just because it is discard, but it's also so searchable off the Dragoons. And then Gund is another card you don't really mind technically seeing in your hand because it is such a vital effect, but it's, again, also very searchable off of the Abystius. So I'm going to shuffle all this stuff up, and then we'll do maybe a test hand or two. Somebody made a great suggestion in the comments about the dice roll thing for the effects, about rolling a dice and then kind of establishing how many interruptions we're going to face prior to doing the test hands. That way we're not rolling every single effect and getting everything negated all the time. So we're probably going to be doing that. So stay tuned for the test hands, and we will be right back. All right, so we're going to do probably just one test hand, maybe two, depending on how quick it goes and if we get a pretty good hand. If we can do a pretty decent combo, then we'll just keep it at one hand. I don't want this video to go too long. I've been making a bad habit of making like 30-minute long videos where I'm just rambling through half of it. So we're just going to kind of shuffle up the deck a little bit, do a nice little super cut here, and then we're gonna try and do a nice little test hand, and I'm gonna try and do less rambling, but I am gonna do my thought process as I'm doing everything, obviously. So we're gonna get our opening hand. So we got Neptibus, that's amazing right off the bat. We got Shadow Squad, which is also really good. We got 1-for-1, which is insane, Dragoons, and then we got the Impermanent. So this is an absolutely insane first hand right here. This is definitely the kind of hand we want to see when we're playing. So here we can kind of mess around a little bit. We have the 1-for-1, so we don't necessarily have to waste our normal summon just by getting Neptibus out on the field. The only thing is do we necessarily want to discard any of these? I guess we could discard the Shadow Squad because we can just send the Shadow Squad off of the Neptibus. So, oh, you know what? We forgot to... Oh, man, where's my dice? Oh, no, where's my dice? Okay, I don't know where my dice are, so we're going to have to improvise. So I got a coaster. Here we go. We got a coaster. So we'll just pick a number between, we'll do 1, 2, and 3. If this goes up, then we'll do 3 hand traps. If it goes down, then we'll do 1 hand trap, and then it'll do it one more between 2 and the other number. So 3, 1, flip it. All right, we got 1. So between 1 and 2, let's see what we get. We got 2. Okay, so between 2 and 1, 1. Okay, so we're gonna face 1 hand trap. Nice. So hopefully, let's see, if we do 1-for-1 and then we do this gets negated by Ash. And then we'll go ahead and just normal summon Neptibus. So I wish I would have had my dice that have probably made this a little bit more fair. I didn't really think about that in advance, but we're gonna go ahead and send the Shadow Squad to the graveyard. We are going to go ahead and add Dragoons off of Neptibus, and then we will special summon our Pike off of the Shadow Squads. Pike is going to send Dragoons to the graveyard to allow us to search for the Abyss Shrine, as well as, let's say, Mulinglacia. Where are you at, Mulinglacia? There you are. Okay, so far this is looking pretty good. I'm going to shuffle this up. It doesn't really matter. We're not playing anybody, but I always have a bad habit of doing that. So we got 3 waters engraved, something to be conscious of. So from here, we can do the Shrine on Neptibus, sending Neptibus and Shrine to the graveyard. We can go ahead and special summon out our Deep Sea King. And then on that, Neptibus's effect will trigger, which is going to allow us to special summon the Dragoons to the field. So water count in graveyard at this point is 4 cards. That's kind of another nice thing about the 1-for-1 is it kind of lets you set up your graveyard a little bit easier for that. So now we can just go ahead and overlay over here. We'll overlay for the Bahamut Shark. We'll detach. Because I'm going to try and I'm still learning this combo, so bear with me. I'm going to detach the Abyss Pike. I know a lot of times you obviously will discard or detach the Dragoons because you'll get a search off of it, but for the purpose of the combo that we're trying to accomplish, we're going to go ahead and detach the Pike. So battle specialists are totally awesome. We have 5 waters in the graveyard, so at this point we can rip 2 cards out of our opponent's hand over here. Still have 2 cards in hand. We're going to do our Deep Sea Coelacanth's effect. We're going to pitch Dragoons, which is going to allow us to special summon... Where are you guys at? 1, 2, and that is it. Because our other spots are obviously taken. So this is where I really got to start playing better when it comes to this part of doing these combos. Is I have to remember my field placement. So one thing I can do right here is because I already used this effect, we can just go ahead and link these off for the coral anemone, and then we can synchro these for the porpoise over here, and then we can activate the porpoise's effect to bring back Pike, and then also bring back pike. So that is going to allow us to, at this point, probably the smart play, no, not really. Actually, the smart play would just be to do this, overlay the Bahamut Shark, detach, and you know what? I never searched off my Dragoons. When I activated the Deep Sea King's effect, I sent Dragoons to the graveyard, and I never did that, so I'm going to cheat really quick. Apologies, sorry for cheating. Don't mean to cheat, but I'm also just going to go ahead and cheat, and we're going to add infantry here. So that way we can play on our opponent's turn. So sorry for cheating, but you know, sometimes you just gotta cheat a little bit, you know what I mean? So we'll detach the pike, which will special summon out our second Totally Awesome. And then from here, we can go ahead and link off these two for our Neptibus. Oh, you know what? I fucked up. Okay. So we got Bahamut Shark on the field here. This isn't on the field. Okay, so the problem is, what we want to do is we want to revive this guy with our Coral Anemone. But we obviously can't do that because Bahamut Shark is in the way. And we don't want to send Mula Glacia because of the fact that we'll skip our next battle phase. But we also don't want to send this because we want to synchro with this guy in order to bring out our Dragite. So we got to kind of think a little bit. And I honestly think we're kind of SOL a little bit. I don't think... There's probably a way to do this, and I'm just not smart enough to do it. So, man, because what would be nice is if we could get the link here with the Dragite over here, obviously, but I guess it wouldn't really matter because we can't get rid of Mula Glacia. I mean, I guess we technically could if we're... The problem is we're going to allow our opponent to get back in the game. If we do set up enough... if we set up enough interruptions here, like, we can prevent our opponent from playing, but then if we don't have our battle phase, then it's going to be easy for them to draw into one card that's going to kind of let them get back in the game, and we obviously don't want that. So how do we come back from this? See, the thing is, I don't play obviously the Deep Angler or whatever the link is that lets you summon, but it doesn't let you summon from the graveyard anyway, so I guess it doesn't really matter. So this is kind of the pickle I always get myself in, because there's really nothing that I can see immediately off the top of my head that's going to allow us to get this spot open while keeping Coral Anemone on the field, unless we just get rid of Mula Glacia. But the other thing is, do we have enough interruptions on the field to where we can just go ahead and skip our next battle phase? Probably not. So, and the other thing is too, we have to use Coral Anemone to get to the Neptibus because we obviously need links 3. So from this point, we kind of screwed ourselves a little bit. So we're just going to have to just go through with it, special summon this guy out, and then now we're leaving our opponent open to getting rid of Mula Glacia on their turn and skipping our next battle phase anyways. But it's kind of seeming like this is where it ends. So obviously kind of the goal is at this point, I guess what we could do is we could just banish this to boost the attack on this bad boy right here, and then set this, and then over here we can just go ahead and special summon this over here. The only thing is we can't really use this effect because of the fact that this is not a fish. So obviously not the greatest board we could create. We still got 2 Omni Negates that are not targetable. We can still play on our opponent's turn because we have the Shrine in the graveyard with the infantry in our hands, and we do have an impermanent set. So maybe we have just enough disruption on the field to where we'd probably be able to go into our synchro plays after this and be fine. But it's definitely not the most optimal going first board of all time. But sometimes it do be like that, especially when you're just learning a deck. You're just going to run into stuff like that, but you get the gist of it. So yeah, that's kind of the plays right now. The one thing is I'm already noticing is I'm clogging my field way too easily for the type of plays that I'm trying to do. The Mula Glacia and some of these other cards kind of just get in the way, but you don't necessarily want to get away with them. So that's just something I'm going to have to kind of MacGyver and make some cuts and make some adjustments and go from there. But yeah, so that's the gist of what the deck is capable of right now. Obviously, it's not exactly optimized, as you guys saw, but, you know, we're working on it. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, this has been KRV. I hope you guys did enjoy this. Be on the lookout for more of these types of videos. Make sure you guys check out the Bonanza opening that we did, because it was insane. We pulled some crazy cards, so that was sick. But yeah, hope you guys did enjoy this, ladies and gentlemen, and make sure to like and subscribe, all that good stuff, and we will see you later.